Hi folks, this is Jerry Boykin. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. I want to talk about the current situation in Europe as well as in Iran with regards to terrorism. All of us have seen the very disturbing videos and photographs of the attack in Manchester a couple of weeks ago by ISIS operatives that came in there and killed really a large number of people and wounded a lot of people, and that was just a devastating attack. Now, there are a couple of things that I'd like to point out. Number one, the Brits deliberately settled or resettled a lot of Libyan refugees up in the Manchester area. And part of the problem is that they didn't make them assimilate into British society. They allowed them to basically do exactly what America is doing in places like Dearborn, Michigan, and even Minneapolis, Minnesota. They let them establish their own enclaves, which then allowed them to practice Sharia or Islamic law, and then they ignored some realities with regards to what these people were up to. Now, if you look at the fact that they knew about these people, all of the perpetrators of this event in one way or another were known to the police for various reasons, but nothing was done. Theresa May now says that we've got to take a hard stand. We've got to really come out and defend ourselves, and we've got to change the way we operate and so forth. Well, I hope that she's right. I hope that she will follow through on that pledge because she is the one that reduced the police by about 20,000 police in the United Kingdom when she was the Home Secretary. She was the one that decided that the threat wasn't that serious. And I would tell you that I think that's was a huge mistake on her part. But what has to happen is that she has to start taking the threat seriously. The British police have to start taking the threat seriously, and they have to start doing something about these people that they know are being radicalized in mosque in Great Britain. They're going to have to start arresting these people. They're going to have to start dealing with them in a more realistic way. Because once again, what we've seen is when you ignore the threat, then bad things happen. And this is what happened in Manchester. They ignored the threats there. Now, there was an attack yesterday in Tehran, Iran. 4 gunmen, or 4 actual, not gunmen in all cases, although 2 of them at least did have AK-47s, but there were 4 men, 2 had body bombs on them, that went into the parliament in Tehran, Iran. 1 man blew himself up in that building, and then another man with a suicide bomb strapped on went into the mausoleum where one of their great icons is buried, and that was Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, who is the one that in 1979, came out of exile in France and came back to Tehran to start what was known as the Islamic Revolution. And four men went into Tehran and blew themselves up in both the mausoleum as well as the parliament building, which was under repair or remodeling. All 4 of these men were killed. They had AK-47s as well. And you have to ask yourself, how could Sunni Muslims get into the inner circle of Tehran with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps protecting these sites and do what they did there? Well, nobody really knows. There are some who speculate that that may not have actually been an attack by Sunni Muslims. I don't know what the truth is. But what I can say is that ISIS has taken credit for it. ISIS has been losing ground. ISIS has been losing a lot of their territory as coalition forces led by the Americans and supported very strongly by the Kurds as well as the Iraqis. They've been making great strides in Mosul. They're about to take that place back, and Raqqa, which is really the central headquarters for ISIS. They're having a lot of success, and they're losing ground. ISIS is losing ground. So it should be expected that they're going to go outside of their territory to have a spectacular attack that will get the world's attention. And that would be to go right into the heart of Shia Islam, and that's in downtown Tehran. So I am inclined to believe that this was actually 4 Sunni Muslims that somehow figured out how to infiltrate into Tehran, and they conducted this attack, and it was devastating. It killed a lot of people. It killed about I think about 40 people there, and wounded some others in these 2 suicide bombings. And then we look at the attack that occurred here on the bridge there in London this past Sunday, as well as on the streets of London there. Now, what's really bad about this is the fact that this was the 3rd attack in 3 months, a serious terrorist attack in 3 months. Killed 8 people, wounded a bunch of people. But the 3 perpetrators of this were known to the British police there. One of them actually had made and participated in a video called The Jihadist Next Door, which was shown on Channel 4 over there. And this guy was known to be a jihadist. This movie was shown on public television. Yet they ignored the guy. Another one of these perpetrators was actually known to be on a watch list. In fact, he routinely lived in Italy, not in Britain. He was of Moroccan descent, and he was picked up by the Italian police trying to go to Istanbul, Turkey, where he could then go across the border into Syria. They picked him up trying to travel there, and they put him on a watch list and turned him around and would not allow him to travel. And then he came into Britain on a watch list, and nobody did anything about it. Nobody stopped him. And then he perpetrated this event there on Sunday night on the bridge and out in the street. And then you really have to wonder, why ignore these folks? Why ignore them? When you know that they are bad actors, you know they've been radicalized in the mosque there. Why would you not do something about it? Well, America needs to take a lesson from this. America needs to be thinking in terms of, are we doing all we can to protect ourselves? That's one of the reasons that I support the President's plan for a wall to close our borders, because we know that we have nefarious elements coming across our border. So I'll hope that today has been informative in some way, and I'll look forward to joining you again next week on Facebook Live. And thank you for being with me today.